But for me, the needs are a bat that helps that left field situation and maybe even the second base situation, an impact starting pitcher that at worst bumps everyone but Ray and Gilbert down a rung, and that's where I'm starting. So I have 3 guys I'm thinking of right now in order of my preference to go trade for them. And it's split between 2 starting pitchers and 1 other non-pitcher. And I could just go 3 deep on arms. And when I extend this list to 5 and 10, it really could just be 7 starting pitchers and, a utility infielder or something at some point. But I'll split it up a little bit so I can tell the story. So number 1 is Frankie Montas. He's been number 1 the entire time. I think Luis Castillo and Tyler Mahle also are available and would be cheaper. Okay, but we're not talking about 50 cents for Mahle and Castillo and $3 for Frankie Montas. We're talking about a $1.50 for Montas and 95 cents or $1 for Mahle and Castillo. If you're going to pay that much, which $1 is market value, you're going to pay around market value for that kind of a pitcher. Boy, you'd hate to get someone who could struggle, right? I mean, we don't know for fact that Frankie Montas wouldn't struggle, but you want to take less risk with that, right? You're going to pay a bit of a premium here. Just go for the gusto. Just pay the $1.25 or the $1.50 instead of the $1 and get Montas instead of Castillo and Mahle at this point. You just can't afford to make a deal for more higher end young talent and not get impact in return. And this season, you just can't afford to do it. Montas is the best bet and worth it, even if it costs 20 to 40% more than Castillo or Mahle. So that's number 1. I'm going to skip to number 3 for a second. I'm going to call this one number 2. Number 2, Joey Wendle. I really want Brandon Lau on this baseball team, but he's scuffled a bit this season. The Rays are not going to be sellers, so it would take a sideways trade, which isn't out of the equation here. The Rays will do anything, but the Rays would also need to replace Lowe's projected punch in the lineup, and Vidal Brujan isn't ready to provide that. The Marlins are 22 and 30 and unlikely to be big buyers. And even if they were in it and likely to buy big, I could see them moving Wendle with a year and a half of control left. And yes, Wendle is out right now with a hammy injury, so he's not getting moved while on the IL, but there's still a lot of time for that to get rectified. With Wendle available, if you add a player like Joey Wendle to your roster, you upgrade your second base spot over Frazier, and now Frazier can move around more. Not just to left field, maybe even third base a little bit. And until Haniger gets back, maybe right field a little bit. Especially against righties. Like Frazier can handle himself versus lefties, but especially against righties. Like maybe, Suarez has played a lot too. Toss Frazier, or Wendle can play third. And give Suarez a day off. That improves your ball club. And if you do it against a righty, Wendle has an advantage there. And Suarez gets back in there against most righties and the lefty. There are lots of ways for the offense to get better. So the other one, the third one on my list, is actually number 2 on my list. This isn't a name we've talked about a whole lot. And there's a reason I haven't talked about him a whole lot. And I bet some of you can figure out what that reason is, but I'm going to talk about him here because I think he's at least an outside possibility. And if he does become available, Seattle should be interested. And that guy is Aaron Nola. I think there's a good chance he's available this summer, despite the fact that Philly absolutely hammered the Angels over the weekend. Nola is essentially, if you're wondering what kind of pitcher he is and how good he is essentially a mashup of Logan Gilbert and George Kirby. Hey, it's Jason Churchill. To get the full episode, as well as every other episode of the podcast, past and future, subscribe for as little as $5 per month by going to bit.ly/getthepod. That's bit.ly/getthepod, all one word. A link you can also find on my Twitter profile. Hey, thanks for checking out Baseball Things.